This program is brought to you by Shopify, making commerce better for everyone.
Thanks for being with us here on Business Week. Well, on Wednesday, the Australian Bureau of Statistics will release June quarter inflation numbers, and all eyes will be on it, especially the Reserve Bank's. Stubbornly high inflation and high interest rates are having an impact on the economy, there's no doubt. Consumer spending habits, they're changing, and it's having an impact on all retailers. Now, we'll get a health check on our retailers during the next month's profit reports, but there's no doubt they're going to be having to look for ways to maintain profitability as consumers pull back. Well, Steph Nash investigated all of that with our sponsor, Shopify.
I think to no surprise right now, Australians are being very considerate about where they spend their hard-earned dollars.
Consumer behaviour is changing. The cost of living crisis is having a direct impact on Australian spending habits. Shoppers are well researched and they are driven by value. It makes for a tough environment in retail.
So what we're seeing in the industry is that it is very value-driven. There's a lot of closed purses out there, a lot of window shopping, so people are only parting with their cash if they're seeing value, a discount.
Retail platform Shopify now powers a third of all online purchases in Australia. It's pulled together its intel for the 2024 Shopify Australian Retail Report. And the results are interesting. 79% of Australian shoppers are cutting back and are consciously trying to save money. 54% are seeking value, and not just when it comes to price, but that's a big part of it. It's a challenge for retailers, meeting consumer demand for heavy discounts while also maintaining sustainable margins.
What might not be so obvious is that with that reduction in costs also is correlated to a reduction in quality of goods. So while chasing costs is a strategy and everyone should think about that, all the retailers are, let's park that over there. It's a careful one that you need to be careful with that.
It's difficult in as much as retailers can respond, they're agile enough. It's just that it impacts their margins, but they know if they don't discount, they're not going to get the trading performance that they need. So it's a bit of an even balance. It's not sustainable, but it's really necessary during these times when business is so tough.
Soaring labour costs, electricity prices, shipping costs and rents are putting massive pressure on retailer margins. It's what the Australian Retailers Association calls the cost of doing business crisis.
So you've got this real collision going on. Cost of living crisis, which is slowing down discretionary spend. We're seeing this cost of doing business crisis, which retailers are grappling with, that are impacting their margins significantly. We've seen the biggest amount of IR reform in the last, 12 to 18 months that we have in decades. And that's actually impacting business, particularly small businesses that don't have functions or departments to cope with all these changes.
It always comes down to how you scale and maintain the quality.
July is a bespoke luggage label that was born just before the COVID pandemic. Thanks to social media and the rebirth of overseas travel, it's taken off, seeing massive growth in a very short time.
The growth at the moment has been phenomenal. We've seen something upwards of 640% growth year on year. The units we ship around 50,000 units a quarter in terms of how much we're bringing in. So there's quite a lot of growth, but not just in Australia. We're talking global as well.
Speaking of global, you might be seeing a lot of July in Europe this week, notably in Paris.
Partnerships for us are like the most exciting thing. It's not just for elevating the brand for consumers, but it's something fun for us to work on as well internally. We love doing them, and I think one of the biggest ones that we've done to date has been partnering with the Australian Olympic team to be the official luggage supplier for the team over there. It's like such a massive thing for what we still feel like is a relatively small business coming out of Australia in the last few years. To say that we're in the likes of all the athletic brands out there. Is a really sort of proud moment.
Going through big economic challenges has taught founder Athan Didaskalou a thing or two about profitability.
I've learned a lot of things over the last few years, where to begin to just pick one or two, but I think probably the focus on traditional business values of sustainable growth and making sure that you're profitable every purchase and profitable within the business is just something that has probably been forgotten for the last few years, but is becoming more and more important as retail markets tighten.
A digital strategy has become very important for retailers since COVID. Much has been said about the benefits of e-commerce. To save on costs, some retailers even made it their entire business model. But now, bricks and mortar is back. It's an important part of the equation as consumers become more considered with their purchasing. According to the Shopify Retail Report, 43% of consumers said they preferred in-store shopping, which was up from 38% last year. It's a direct reflection of highly researched consumers who want to touch and feel before they buy.
So we're seeing online retailers particularly are now sort of seeing the value in physical stores. So, you know, the best successful retailers are what we call omni-channel retailers. They're wherever the customer wants to shop, whether that's on their mobile, their laptop or in store. So, you know, it's important to be where the customer is, and that often, you know, customers aren't sort of central to one particular channel.
Travel as a category is a really interesting one where you've got a certain audience subset that is super planned. They know exactly when they're leaving. They've got weeks ahead of them. And then you've got this other subset that leave tomorrow and just need something quick. The idea is that physical retailers are just a great experience channel for customers to be able to touch, feel, see the colours, talk to staff, get ideas, and be able to buy and leave on the spot.
How frustrating is it when you go into a store, you purchase something online, you want to return it in store, and they can't take a return because you purchased online? How frustrating is it if sometimes if you come all the way into a store and you saw the product online, but it's not in the physical retail store? That should not be the case. And now with what is a unified view of customers and a unified view of stock, inventory, sales, that online experience and that offline experience is coming together and providing retailers with the intelligence to provide a much better experience.
With the cost of living tightening the screws, retailers can only go so far lowering their prices to appease consumers. So how else can they create value? Shopify shows 45% of respondents said loyalty rewards were a big consideration, delivering value for shoppers in terms of experience.
I think historically, those programs have been the domain of large business, very, very large brands that have a lot of money to fund those kind of capabilities technology-wise. The good news now is with COVID and a lot of the investment, that money has moved towards CTOs and what can they build to provide a better experience for the customers and what they want.
The loyalty cards have a big part to play in all of this because, you know, it's got to be mutually benefiting. So the customer, by using their loyalty card, know that they're handing over particular data that is depersonalised. What that data becomes is very useful around for retailers, how they plan their stores, how they manage the space within the stores, the targeted, customised, personalised marketing they can actually target that customer.
Central to all these points is around investment in technology, particularly in AI, to collect data, learn from that data, and create a more strategic, more efficient retail business, especially as our economic future remains so uncertain.
Look, I think the retail community now needs to be focused on making sure that they have a strategy, they're investing in technology, they're investing in their people to have the right skill set. They're also focusing on what the customer wants, which is really about getting a great deal. So I look forward, and I do think we're still in uncharted territory. We're seeing discretionary spend slow significantly. Now that's a big issue coming into the all-important Christmas trading period, where up to 2/3 of profits for a retail that's a discretionary retailer make their money. So what we do know is that we expect another big Black Friday, but Christmas spending may be subdued. So focusing on the events that matter to consumers.
There's a lot of technology that has come a long way over the last few years. There's a lot of cost pressures out there, a lot of OPEX squeezes. And I think that for any retailer that's out there, their platform should be driving their innovation. They should be looking at the innovation on your behalf. If you're out there trying to drive your own innovation story, you need to have a partner on the way.
So for us, it's been better understanding the customer, making sure all of our systems talk to each other and that there is one single view of the customer. So we know that if you're shopping online, you're shopping in retail, or you're chatting to us through customer service, we all know that you're the same person. That's a really big one that not a lot of small to medium businesses get on top of early. It's a platform choice, and it's something that we wanted to make sure that was done from day one, because there's so many different things happening.